Welcome to the Manliness. This is,
Wow.
Thank you.
Don't get too excited.
That's exactly what we wanted to hear.
That's it. You can all go now. You can pick up your £5 at the door.
So yeah, thanks for coming out. Before we get started properly, I've got our friends from Pet Needs here, Johnny and Rich, to do us a tune to kind of get us started. So take it away, Johnny.
These holes in my jeans are getting too big. You can see my skin and desire, and I'm tired of ripping myself to pieces at the weekend, stitch by stitch by stitch. This mind's of mine. It's temperamental, but tonight I feel so damn wide, and I'm tired of ripping myself to pieces at the weekend, stitch by stitch by stitch me up, stitch me up. Stitch me up, stitch me, yeah. Oh. Stitch me up, stitch me up, stitch me up, stitch me up, yeah. Oh. Stitch me up, stitch me up, stitch me up, stitch me up. These holes in my skin, I swear now it's been a while since I perspired. Life is ripping myself to pieces at the weekend, stitch by stitch by stitch. These eyes of mine have got lines around that I don't recognize, and I'm tired of ripping myself to pieces at the weekend, stitch by stitch by stitch me up, stitch me up. Stitch me up, stitch me, yeah. Oh. Stitch me up, stitch me up, stitch me up, stitch me up, yeah. Oh. Stitch me up, stitch me up, stitch me up, stitch me up. What you running from? Where you running? What you running? What you running? What you running from? Been running for too long. Where you running? What you running from? And yesterday's Chinese rotates on its axis as hazy memories portray my consciousness. Faces and places we graced with the greatest intentions, please nobody mention what has become of us.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it up. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Well,
Pet Needs.
Pet Needs. We were really lucky to have these two guys come on the podcast. I don't know, about a month, maybe more ago.
Yeah.
We just kind of hit it off, and now we're doing stuff together.
Some really exciting stuff.
We're doing stuff together that we can't talk about.
Everyone in this room probably knows
How
anyway.
does that sound?
But it will be incredible.
It literally
But we
is
can't talk about
mind-blowing.
it, and it will be really sore.
I was speaking to a guy that's really into marketing at the moment. Apparently, you're not allowed to talk about not being able to talk about things that you can't talk about.
Oh, so we've already fucked it up.
Well, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
so
That
I
makes
had to
sense.
delete a status earlier because I was like, oh, we've got these good festival bookings, can't wait to tell you. But it's like, no, you need to like not talk about not being able to talk about the things you can't talk about.
Well, it
because
makes
then
sense.
it loses momentum.
Yeah, it
So
makes
stop talking
sense.
about.
Yeah, when can we
talk about
when
the
can we
things
talk?
we
We
talk
announced it
about.
like a week before or so. I
But
suppose
we
when
wish
they-
you could fucking talk
Oh,
about
so
it.
good.
It's like,
So
we've got
good.
some good stuff happening.
Yeah.
There's crazy shit going
But we
on.
haven't, or have we?
No, we
We
haven't.
can't.
No, we
can't
probably
talk
haven't.
about it.
No. Talk
Yeah.
about what?
We might. Oh no, I'm not going to say it.
Talk about what we're talking about.
It's up to you to decide.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Mouth of Manliness. For the people who don't know what the Mouth of Manliness is, it is basically we have an hour which starts now, and it's almost like an hour of therapy where we talk about everything in our heads Sometimes it is properly just rubbish shit. Sometimes it's kind of in-depth stuff. It tends to get quite in-depth. Sometimes we laugh a lot. Sometimes Brad nearly cries.
Or most days.
Yes. I mean, we've been going for about a year, if you don't know us, and we've been doing pretty well.
Been on the old BBC.
We've been on the old BBC, not just the radio, the telly as well. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Echo.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you. Live. See, it's live.
That's it. Live in the room. Where are we, Nick?
Oh, yeah. Where are we? So, yeah, this is a live podcast, and this is our second live podcast.
Live number 2.
Number 2. We are at Bestdays.
Vintage.
Why did you hesitate?
Because suddenly it went out of my head.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
We're at Bestdays Vintage in Colchester, and we're about to welcome on the guys who own it to come on and talk, because they actually invited us. Well, they talked about coming on the podcast or doing something together, and I suggested, after seeing that like Pet Needs had played here, that maybe it'd be a good idea if we came here and did a live one. So can I welcome these guys on? Are you alright to jump up, fellas?
Thank you, Pet
All right,
Needs.
thank you, Pet Needs. Thank you. I had this idea that it would be like a variety show.
Brilliant.
We'd be doing like a variety show.
I do a really good thing with like these nipple tassel things and this hula hoop thing. I didn't bring them, but I could probably like sort something out.
Yeah.
At the end.
So yeah, it'll be a variety show with Brad's nipples.
They are varied.
Yeah. Well, mostly though, thanks to everyone for coming out. It's
Yeah,
really
I
great
can't
to see you.
believe there's
Thank
actual
you to my
people
friends
here.
for coming along. We get to meet Ellie for the first time. Anyone
Patron.
who listens to the podcast will know that we often give Ellie a shout out because she's a big supporter of ours. So my name's Nick. I'm Nick Noyes.
Hi,
And
Nick
this
Noyes.
Hunk of Burning Love is Brad Action.
Hunk of burning love.
Yeah, Hunk of Burning Love. And welcome to the guys from the shop, Steve.
Hello.
And Jez.
Yes.
I hope you guys don't mind, but in a weird Matrix kind of vibe, I'm Instagram living it right
We're
now.
Wow,
Instagram
amazing.
living. Hello,
What is up,
Instagram
Instagram
Live.
Hello.
So all 2 of them.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Hey guys, there was
And they're here. They're at the back there.
That's a diss about our social media following, not your.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
that's it.
talk
That's
about
amazing. And then funnily enough, this is the first time I've done the podcast sober. Never done it sober before. I normally get through a bottle and a half of wine.
Yeah, that is. Even at Margate, we had a couple, didn't we?
Yeah. And I also smoke pretty much all the way through it.
Yeah, it's nice
So
to be
this
able
is
to
kinda
see
got-
you. Normally,
This
like
is quite rare.
people think we've got a smoke machine, but we haven't.
Do
It's
you reckon
Nick.
this is going to improve your performance? Or
No, it's going to make it
Yeah, I
loads
think it's going to
worse.
make it a lot
Booze-
worse. A lot worse.
Booze for me only makes everything better, which is a problem in itself. It certainly is.
So we're in your amazing
We
shop,
are.
and I keep looking around seeing things. I'm purposefully not looking at them because I'm going to end up trying to buy them at the end. And I have put my coat down somewhere, and I don't know where it is.
We will. That's already sold.
Just pick one up.
sold that
Genuinely, I'll
before you
probably
didn't
go out in a
realise.
pair of dungarees or
Before it
something.
come off your shoulders, that was already gone.
It's got a tag on it.
Yeah, it's somewhere. But so we're in Colchester in your amazing shop. How long have you been going here?
Nearly 7 years.
Wow.
It'll be 7 years in November. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been for our own little journey in life when it comes to running a shop. Life gets harder and harder actually as a business, but as people, we're trying to kind of like be better and better as people and as friends. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and I feel like I've aged like 20 years in the last 7. It's like been quite stressful in times, but yeah,
Oh,
we're still going.
Yeah.
Still here.
It's part of owning your own business. You don't kind of think of that when you have this idea. Oh yeah, we'll start our own business. That'll be fun. Just you basically never stop. You take it home. You can't clock out. It's with you at all times.
What's interesting about this place is you do like teas and coffees. People drop in, and you encourage people to come in and talk and be sort of themselves. And not like a lot of people don't really spend that much time in shops, but to be able to come here and look at clothes and have a coffee and a chat and everything else, that's different in itself.
Well, I think that's kind of what I was interested in because like when we kind of chatted or texted, I hate phoning people, and you were like, do you know what we're about? I was like, oh, you sell vintage gear, didn't you? And it was like, no, there's a lot more to it than that. And that was when it was like, oh yeah, well then we need to definitely do something. So can you tell us about your kind of that mental health angle that you've been working with?
it's one of the reasons that we've been really keen to kind of get involved with guys like you. We've been really pushing the kind of media side of things, radio, because we're really trying to get this across to people. Because obviously we've been a shop, we're a clothes shop, we're a vintage clothes shop, you know. But the last year or so, we've been really focusing in on what we've realised over the last 5 or 6 years is really important to young people, and we've lost a few people, like a couple of customers through suicide, which has been quite tough.
Yeah.
And we meet people every single day, and we know that young people go through a bit of a. It's hard enough as it is as a young person. When we were kids, before social media, and what it's like from now. So we started this journey about a year ago. We sat down as two friends above business owners and said, what can we do as people to kind of try and make a bit of a difference, and try for our own sanity as well to kind of think, what can we do? So we kind of struck up on this like mission statement, which is a bit cheesy, a bit corporate, but it basically is. And it's like, it's written on the door there because we wanted people to know it's there all the time. So basically it means every young person deserves to be heard and understood. So with us, you get feel-good clothing and positive well-being, so that basically young people can be their best self. And we try our best to kind of create that environment in store. And as Jez once said, when we first went down this road, he said, I really try to make people feel better. So when they come in the shop and when they leave, they feel better about themselves and about just the journey, not just because they're just leaving the shop that they feel better.
How do you do that, though?
That does happen. Mostly just, you engage them, basically. You say hello as they come in, and then, so not everyone wants to talk to you and open up, but most people do. Most people, you get into a conversation with them, and they're quite quick to sort of tell you about any issues they might have, or kind of what's getting them down, or whatever. And we've tried to create a safe space where people feel comfortable to open up a bit to us, and we just listen. Really, that's the key.
And do you find they do? Are people happy to?
Yeah, like we pretty early on, somebody came in a couple of days after they'd been in for the first time. They said, you guys really, really made me feel better. And from then on in, it was like, well, this is what we got to do.
That's amazing.
It's game on.
Yeah.
I kind of think like the main thing is if people, when I feel like shit, like I will normally go through a phase, I go through a cycle of like initially I'm like, I'll keep it to myself.
Yep.
And I'm like, and then that turns into I feel shit to, oh, you're a cunt. And then that's my head just going, ah. And then I end up talking about it. And I instantly feel better. And the minute I blurted it out, I feel better. I'm sorry about that. I really felt the need to say the C word.
Oh yeah, I was going to say there might be swearing. There ain't any kids, is there?
Disgusted faces.
Right, yeah.
I'm sorry. I won't.
If you don't like the words like fuck or shit or cunt or whatever, you're gonna have to just stand at the back.
They're further back. They're further back. You won't be able to hear it as well. But no, on the serious point of that, actually, just by saying things aloud, like we're sociable animals. We need to talk. And even if you're not talking about the thing that's upsetting you, just kind of conversing can make you feel better anyway.
Totally. Often we're not talking about big issues. We're just talking about whatever, just chatting shit. But it makes people feel better. That somebody's giving, and you've got to give them your attention. You can't. There's no lip service. You've got to really listen. That's what everybody wants. I think the older I get, the more I realise that everyone has got issues. However much they hide it, however small they are or big they are, everyone's got fucking issues. And all everyone wants is for someone to listen to them and to properly listen.
Yeah,
not just
in the world where people don't listen.
Yeah, exactly.
In the world where we're listening less and less.
We've been doing like mentoring training as part of this journey that we're on, and Jez has got further than I am in it. But as part of what Jez has been saying, he said that one of the things that is really important as a mentor is to actually learn to listen.
Yeah,
and that's very
the
easy.
biggest thing I took away. Is that they sort of told me about all these blocks to listening. And there were so many things that just rang true. Like when you're talking to someone, am I just thinking about what I'm about to say next, like rehearsing it in my head, thinking about a joke that I've got coming up, like my part in the conversation, or am I actually giving them my undivided attention?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
My brain's just going, right, when's it going to come back to me?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's being a podcaster. That must be, you've got to be ready to say something funny at all times, right?
I think so, but not.
Yeah.
So, what was it? Because I generally, from my experience, people don't come to having those kind of thoughts that you want to kind of help without having some shitty experiences of your own that bring you to that point. And as you said, everyone's. There's very few people, you know, who aren't struggling in some way, shape, or form, or haven't struggled in some way, shape, or form. So everyone's got their story, and that fascinates me. That's why we do it, I think. So what brought you to it then, Jez? You
Well,
go first.
For me, like my lowest point was when, like, me and Steve used to. This is kind of how the business started. We were in a band together, and then the band didn't end up how we wanted it to, and then we thought, well, what should we do? Let's open a vintage glove shop. That was like our plan B. But when the band first split up, I didn't have a fucking clue what I was going to do with my life, and that
So was
that
what?
was my
Was that like 6 years ago then?
yeah
Not
7
long off, yeah.
yes.
Really?
And yeah, I spent pretty much my whole 20s thinking, well, this is what I'm going to. This was back in the day where you could actually make a living from music. No one buys music anymore, so
Did you make a living from it?
no, never. That was the problem. That was the problem. Yeah. But we were on the fucking cusp of it, and it was so frustrating. You know, we had labels, all that kind of stuff, but it never broke through. And then we split up, and I had no practical skills. I just couldn't sleep. That was it. My mind just wouldn't switch off, and that was my low point, and that's what enables me to empathise with people who are going. That's kind of my low point that I go back to.
Do you use I don't even know how to use these, but do you use your low point when you're kind of
Yeah,
talking to
that's
people
yeah,
to
that's
kind
what
of, like,
that's
figure
what
out-
that's my go-to. That's what I think about when I try and empathise with somebody who's feeling low. But I know, like Steve more recently has gone through dark times.
Did you struggle then when like, the band kind of ended?
He wasn't that bothered. I think he was glad.
I threw my toys out the pram once or twice, but I found life more difficult running a business.
Yeah.
Mentally, like, it's fucking difficult. It's struggling and worrying about. I hate talking about money, yet I spend my whole time talking about bloody money all the time. Where is it coming from? How am I going to pay the guys? How are we going to pay the rent? How are we going to? How come we're 20% down or whatever it might be? I beat myself up over it because I think, what am I doing wrong as a person? Why am I not good enough to make a success of this business? And whatever people say, from what the outside looking in, this is kind of how I look at it. And, like, I feel responsible for, like, my best friend and his family. I feel responsible for my brother. I feel responsible for my own family. And I've had some really low moments with this business. It's really taken its toll on me personally, which is kind of why we decided to completely change what we care about. And so when we sat down, which is about a year ago, and we spoke about as two friends saying, what can we do differently as a friendship, two best buddies, like, stop talking about money, let's talk more about how can we help people. We text each other like once a week and say, how can we help someone today? Or
Amazing.
We've got like a few key actions in this shop which we try to do. Like, it's difficult, but we try. Like, I feel like I'm programmed. Like I was saying earlier, like we try to ask everyone who comes in how their day's been. Like, really simple things, but just the openings, just to ask them, say, how's your day been? And most people say, fine, thanks. But every now and then you might get someone that goes, thanks for asking. This is kind of what's happening,
Wow.
We try to non-gender people because we upset someone who felt like we'd gendered them, misgendered them. That's the phrase. So we try, as actions in the shop, to kind of be respectful to people's mental health and their feelings and how they go. We try, like we write it up on the wall up there. So we say we're quick to listen and slow to speak. We try to spread positivity like confetti, and we try to have no judgment on what people come in, which I think most of the time is what young people kind of want, is not to be judged and to be accepted, And when you're like a 15 or a 14-year-old, we all remember this, because we're all probably a bit older, but when you're 14 or 15-year-olds, you're desperate to be accepted, and we're 40-year-old men, and we try and be cool, we try to be kind of open, and I really hope that people respect the fact that we treat them like adults when they come into the shop, and we treat them with respect, and we ask them, and we chat, and we have a laugh, and we really try to kind of create a community. Everything we do is for young people. Literally everything we do in this business, whatever it is, we always ask ourselves, is this right for our young people that come into the shop?
It's amazing because it's totally opposite to probably 90% of the other shops you go into in the high street, because where it'd be sales and right sort of music as loud as possible and stuff like that. It's kind of like it's pioneering, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, part of me always, sorry, Jez, I'm yakking on, but
That's fine.
part of me is really genuinely aware that we don't want to be feeding the line as a business.
Yeah.
Because we've all been watching like the adverts now, hey, news, and like, can I say brand names? I don't know. Can I, like,
Yeah.
Tesco's are doing this, or Dove are doing this. You know, it's like, and it feels like a line half the time, right? It feels like it's marketing guys have gone right.
Yeah, what's the latest fad? We
What's
need
the
to
latest
talk
fad?
about
We can jump
mental
on
health.
this.
We need to get on that.
I don't believe half the companies that talk about these things. I just don't.
No, I've often wondered, like, Barclays changed their logo to like the rainbow logo during
Yeah,
like
exactly.
certain weeks and stuff like that, and it is a bit kind of.
Doesn't
it's great
ring true,
that-
does it?
It's great
they're
that
cashing in,
it is
so-
kind of raising awareness to a
Yeah.
degree, but it is knee jerk.
But you have to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to kind of have action above your words. And one of the reasons that me and Jez spoke about this, because we both really wanted to believe in this, like personally, genuinely believe in it as people.
Yeah, it's got to
It
come
had to
from
come
a
from
place
the
of
heart.
authenticity, because people can see through that shit. You know?
Yeah. And so, like, as people, like we said, we've been training in this mentoring thing, and we're trying to, as people, we're going off and we're learning to be professional friends with like a charity called Kids Inspire, which is like with young people that really need a bit of help. And we're trying, like, as in our personal lives, so we spend an hour a week with like a young person, 22 weeks to a year, depending on how much help they need. And we get skills to learn how to kind of like translate that to our business, but also as people, we're trying to kind of improve ourselves. And I think that that's kind of what I believe what you have to do as a business. You have to kind of, you've got to do more than just feed lip service. And all the stuff are different, you know. So like the guys who work in our business, some of them accept some of what we've changed, but not all of what we've changed, you know. And so Jez and I have like jumped into this with both feet.
We've
But
gone balls deep.
balls deep.
the best,
Balls
best
deep into
to go.
young people mental
the
health.
best of the deeps.
Yeah. But
That's the thing.
yeah, the guys who work with us, some of the actions that we do, like
They're a bit skeptical, aren't they? They kind of,
sometimes, yeah. And they
'Cause
can't figure out how they could apply that to like working online, for example, where it's only emails. We don't speak to people. How could this? How you're in the shop at the time, you see it, but we just deal with customers, and like so we've worked with them on how we can kind of like change that attitude towards a customer email. Is like it might to be you go, oh, you know, here we go, someone's moaning, but for us, we should see that as being this person's got an issue. They need resolving, and it will help them with their day because they're worried about this.
just a little bit of kindness goes so far.
I think if you try and come from a stance of kindness pretty much with everything, so much like it's really not that hard to do. And if you just kind of assume that everyone else is are having a shit day, then when you speak to them, if they're being an arse, you're like, well, they're probably having a shit day. I won't be an arse back. You know, like I won't escalate it. Why?
No, because
Why
nothing
would I do
good.
that?
Yeah, nothing good's going to
Yeah.
come from that.
And I find myself saying all the time, like say something to wind me up, and I'm like, why do I give a shit? I don't give a shit. I don't get it doesn't impact on me. So why am I getting wound up? And then I just find myself coming back to that more. Well, let's just try and be nice to each other.
Yeah.
It's not fucking hard. It's funny. The saying you were saying, Steve, that like it kind of resonated with me when you were saying everything you were doing was making you feel not good enough. And like how when things are going wrong, you tend to turn it into you. It's like you might go through it. Like some people are like they'll blame the world and they're like it's everyone else's fault. But if you're anything like me and probably anything like us, it ends up being I'm shit. Like that's me. Everything
Yeah, you
is
take it
like,
personally.
Oh yeah, right. You know, like oh yeah, that went wrong. That's because you're a piece of shit. And everything comes back down to you are a piece of shit. You don't deserve it. But like, it's not true, is it? And like, the thing is, when you do things like what you're doing, you're proving that you're not a piece of shit. You know, you're going out there going, actually, like, you know, you're proving to yourself, and that makes you feel better. like for me, like doing this makes me feel better. Like just because you know you can't be an arsehole if you're trying to kind of help people
Yep.
kind of talk more
Do
openly
good
about
things.
mental health. You know, so then I'm like, well, I can't be that shit. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, makes a lot of
It's,
sense.
anything that makes you feel better, I think.
Can't go wrong.
You should do it.
Except
you
for
know,
heroin.
Yeah. See, I've been watching this
very
really
Moorish.
good thing.
Yeah.
I've been watching this thing. It's called The Soft White Underbelly. Has anyone seen it? It's on YouTube. It's a series. And this guy goes to LA and he goes and he interviews people on Skid Row in LA. Like sometimes they're like 10 minutes, sometimes they're an hour. And he interviews a vast array of people. A vast array of people are homeless or they're like, you know, they're addicted to crystal meth, etc. Then he also interviews like gangsters and that as well. It's fucking fascinating, it really is. But the bit about when people talk about their story, so even like the people who become gangsters, they tend to have gone through something pretty terrible to take them to that point, which pushes them over the edge to being awful to people. And all like the drug users and everyone that homeless people have all been through something dreadful that's taken them to that point that they need to escape. And I recommend it. It's a tangent, but it's really, really good. And I was nearly crying today, and I can't cry.
That's
It's
saying something.
even like that sounds a bit controversial, but even like serial killers generally aren't
Yeah,
born bad.
yeah, exactly.
It's they're a product of their environment, and isn't it like more often than not it's to do with like their upbringing, their relationship with their parents. That it's like these catalysts and like this
so
kind of
much
like power and
The view on the world
So
and
much
everything.
comes back to like their parents and their upbringing. Most people are like, you know, addicted to something, like something terrible happen because you have to fucking escape. It's like, can't handle my brain. Just dreadful. So, are you feeling better now? Do you feel like you've come through?
I
it
still
a
have
bit?
my moments. Like I don't know, everyone calls it something different. I call it my rain cloud. Where I feel like I spend my time when I'm feeling really low. I feel like I'm walking my whole life under a grey rain cloud that I cannot seem to be able to shake,
Yeah, it makes
and
sense.
it just fucking sucks. And no matter what I try to do, it's like like a filter. You know, like you put your Instagram filter on, and it's like go to grey. And whatever you look at, for me, sometimes when I'm feeling really low, that's what I'm going through. It's like a grey filter or a rain cloud. But yeah, I've been feeling much better for a while, and I've got some challenges in my personal life as well, which normally would maybe send me down into like a lower scope, or like with work. There's a few things happened recently which normally would send me down into the rain cloud, but maybe doing this sort of stuff and having a mission and having a focus on helping people and feeling like positive towards this business again, for whatever reason, I feel like I haven't gone down there. No.
I don't know about you, because I was talking to Jeremy about this outside. Big up Jez, who's at the back. That once you start talking and looking into inwards and yourself and trying to sort of unravel everything, it's almost like we were saying, like the floodgates open, and at times it can feel like it's worse. And like ignorance might be bliss, and you think, oh, I wish I could just go back to like not giving a fuck. But it's when it's kind of like part of that process of like the taking all the layers off and everything else. I find that like one day you're having a kind of bad day and you think, oh, what's all this about? But it's because you're kind of in that mindset and kind of working it all out, kind of thing.
Have you have you guys kind of like looked into it more to kind of figure out why? Because you know, like things you were talking about, Steve, seems to be like that's kind of a mindset, and like thinking about where that mindset comes from. Because obviously I've done it, and I blame my dad. You don't like me saying that.
Thanks for listening, no. Keep the ratings up, mate.
Yeah,
But you
all
know
about
what
the
I mean?
numbers.
Like, you kind of look into it, and then you start making sense of to why you're struggling with life. And you're like, right, so that happened and that happened. And like for me, it was nothing dramatic, you know, nothing dramatic at all. But you could see how like a trickle effect essentially then kind of twist your kind of perception on the world. Like that's totally happened with me. And I just wondered if you've ever like kind of looked into like, because apart from that period where you kind of felt really down then,
Mm-hmm.
Was that the only time you've had like a real dark period?
Yep.
It is.
And I thank my lucky stars because I've seen up close what Steve's been through, and if anything, it's just made me cherish what I've got, and I don't take for granted because I've got wife and 2 kids, and I know I'm blessed, and I try and cherish that every day and not take it for granted. But yeah, that's as low as I've felt, and I sometimes feel guilty that I feel so positive all the time.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I know. It's bang out of order, isn't it? It's bang out of order.
I guess I kind of feel a bit of a kinship when you're talking about stuff, Steve, because I'm like, I can totally.
He doesn't have a miserable twat.
see
There he
me.
is.
Yeah, a lot of people say I was a miserable twat. Well, it sounds, it's twat.
Just miserable on the odd
Maybe
days.
right, probably.
I don't think you're miserable anymore.
No, I tell you what, like in the last year, I've really, since I've been doing this, I haven't really had any real down periods, and I'd go a year, sometimes 2, 3 years.
It's weird, polar
I've
to that.
gone
Since
like-
I've been doing this, I've probably had about 4 proper breakdowns. I don't know
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
I don't know what's
Hasn't
going
really
on
worked
there.
for you, has it?
Not really. I might try something else.
Been really good for
That's all
me.
the stress of all this equipment you got
Yeah,
set up.
probably. It's
Yeah.
pretty
That's
heavy.
me.
I just swan in and large it.
I went to a counsellor
You did.
once, and I sat there and I tried to be honest, and I was like, I need to be honest here because I've put myself out with this one because I've always been like, nah. But I thought, okay, I'm gonna go, and I sat there and I talked to this lady, and I was chatting to her, and I could see her like looking at the clock every like 5 minutes, and it pissed me off.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what? It didn't feel right to me. Like, I know a lot of people like with counselling, they feel right, but I just kept seeing her going, this is just your job. Like, and I just felt a bit phony about the whole thing.
The thing is, it's a relationship. Like, if you were starting work with that lady, like you would just leave that job and you would go and kind of do something else. And I think it's difficult. That's so bad that she's just sitting there looking at the watch. So it needs to be as
like
open as possible.
It's been all subtle about it, like kind of like little slide. Like, I mean, I know she's got on the clock and she has to be there, but I just felt like that was a real eye opener for me. Going, this is like
That's just her job.
It's like
Yeah,
going to
she
see a
doesn't
stripper
care.
or something, you know. Or,
Problem is
If
with
you know
that,
you're paying
though,
for it, it's not quite as good.
yeah,
that just puts you off of it though. And I just think there's millions of people who would have had that same experience, and potentially loads of people with that same person, and they're still fucking really struggling in their lives because that fucking arsehole made no effort. It
I
really
don't know.
fucks me off
I
that though.
find it harsh to say that because like
But also, you did turn up the next week, but you got the wrong time, hadn't you? And
Yeah.
that's what put you off
yeah,
going
pissed me
again.
off as well.
He was like an
right,
hour
yeah.
early, and so he just went home, and he hasn't been since.
I have had exactly that experience with therapy before, and I've also had that same experience where like they were coming to my house and I wasn't there, and then I was like, well, I can't ring them again. Then
It's too
because
embarrassing.
been
Yeah.
dreadful. But I've had over the years I've been in and out of therapy for fucking 30 years, and in that time, like I've had those exact same experiences, and then one day, like you know, I might go like 6 months with a therapist, and then like it ends, and I'm like, thank fuck for that, because I feel like I've just had to go through it, you know, although I know it's not really working. And then one day, like, and then I've had a number of really good ones, and that is the bit when it kind of just clicks, and you're like, right, they've got me,
Yeah.
they're not doing that, and then you just go, "Bleh."
That's when it all comes out.
and then it works. So like, I often say to people, right, if that person don't work, then you just need to get another person, and it can be really hard because you know
You've got to start all over again, right? You have to start
Well,
the ball. You've got to start
yeah.
the relationship from scratch again.
yeah, but then if you've only seen them once, then it's like go back and say, can I see someone else? But the problem is that our system's not really set up that well to do that. It's not that easy, you know. Like a lot of the time, if you go through the NHS, you have to have who you're given. So, you know, sometimes you just have to be a bit assertive. But
I've
when
just
you're- when
finished a
you're-
run of it, and it's all right. It's good, but I found it like I wanted to deep dive into all the other stuff, like get to the crux of the problem. And she was okay and interested in everything that was going on, but we spoke more about my diet, because I'm a fat fuck, and what was affecting, like I was drinking loads of coffee and stuff like that, and what was affecting my day-to-day kind of thing. What I really wanted to know was, because when you have, is it CBT, it's like 6 sessions or 12 sessions or whatever.
Focused, though. And the problem is that if you've got a proper issue going on, there is no kind of solution.
No, it's
like that. You just
surface,
need to fucking say
like
it,
the
and someone
top
needs to
layer.
really make sense of it.
Mm.
I've been having psychotherapy for 2 years. Like, I've known people who've had it for 10 years, and it's like, and that's when you do it. You're like, deep dive. This is what, when you try and get to the bottom of it, and sometimes it makes you feel dreadful.
There's no one-stop solution, is there? It's different for everyone.
So I just say, like, just don't give up. You know, like, that might not have worked. Leave it 6 months and go and try again. I'm always like, the problem is there's things there, you know, like medication. You're not feeling good, go to the doctor and get medication. But like, even someone I like to think I'm fairly woke.
You're a woke bloke.
Yeah, I'm a woke bloke. But even for me, like, I feel the stigma when I'm going in there. As much as I'm like, oh, I refuse to feel the fucking stigma. I'm a fucking mental health pioneer. I've got a fucking podcast. You know, like, I still feel the stigma. I still get nervous. You know, I still struggle to be assertive. But I just see it as like, it's like you're almost walking through it. You have to fight for your brain.
We have discussions. I've got a couple of friends who struggle mentally as well with anxiety through work and stuff, and both of them are taking medication. One of them has basically said to me that he said it's really helped him to think clearly.
Yeah.
And he said all the shit that particularly work, would like pile on top of him. He'd be like, I cannot cope with this. He now is able to take a step back and go, right, I can actually think my way around this issue now. And we ever spoke the other one, and we spoke, and his wife's always like, if you can, why not? If you can take one tablet a day for the rest of your life, that's going to help you think more clearly and be a better version of you, or it's going to help you to kind of be a more positive person of you, why wouldn't you do it? Because I've always had a bit of a stigma about, I don't know if I could be doing that, going down that road of tablets, because I feel like it's not for me, or I'm worried about doing it, I'm worried where it might lead or where it might take me. But these guys have both been like real pioneers.
What do you worry about?
I worry about getting addicted to it. I worry about I'm not in control of my own kind of destiny, I guess.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same when I started taking them. Was it last year, just as we started doing this? And it is exactly that. It's the best way to describe it. Where normally everything is right in front of you on top, when you've got like work and kids and this happening, that happening, and like the world's fucked anyway, and it all seems on top. It literally, it does. It puts like, it's like you can sort of step back and say, right, I'm going to park that. I'm not going to deal with that and forget that and finish with that. Right, I'm going to take what I can deal with and just deal with that a little bit. And it did help me. I'm petering off now. I'm coming off the other side of it.
But it kind of gets you to a point where you can deal with things. It just almost takes the weight off.
It's the control, isn't it? It's like you feel like your life.
Really, you won't. And the other thing is, like, it's not like, they're not like, you know, when you do drugs and they're really good. You know, generally.
No, he doesn't know about that.
They're not like doing.
That's
nice
one thing
drugs.
I expected. I was disappointed. I thought I was going to sort of take a couple of tablets and be like, "Hey, fucking come on, everyone, let's have it."
You might have a few
Nothing like that
days
at all.
of feeling a bit spaced out,
Yeah.
which is normally my favourite.
I quite enjoyed that. Yeah.
But then it calms down and you just feel pretty normal. But for some reason, like, the fog has lifted.
Yeah.
It really, really helps. I swear by it. I'm on fucking loads of meds. I really am. Morning and night. Believe me.
I went running.
Yeah,
That really
a lot of
helped
people
me.
say that
It's
helps.
really good to do.
Yeah, Buddy woke me up again, I think about 4 o'clock yesterday morning, and said, "Dad, do you fancy going for a jog?" I was like, "Fancy? No." But obviously, I've got to lead by example. He's only 5. So literally just kept my
He's
pajamas
5 and he
on.
wanted to go for a jog.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with him. But, and I think I need to lead by example, because I used to run a little bit, and he has seen me do it before, and he did get us out once before. It was in January, it's freezing. And yeah, literally left my pyjamas on, chucked my shoes on, went for a run. I did feel good afterwards. It ruined me for the rest of the day, but I had that inkling of thinking...
Pulled a muscle.
Yeah, and my knees are fucked. But I had that little feeling of like, that a split second of like, I
stretch?
remember this feeling. I didn't stretch. I'd never stretch. should do. Yeah, I stretch that bit every day. But I remember thinking, yeah, I should be doing more for myself. Even just taking time to go for a run is really important because you're not getting shouted at and no one's on the phone or anything else. And it don't have to be a run; it could be anything, playing music or just taking time to read a book or something.
You
It's
tried
a massive
meditation?
help. Yeah, I have, and I love it. I'm a massive advocate for it. I don't do it enough because I get woken up by kids at 4 o'clock in the morning and they want to go for a run. But what I found is it doesn't have to be sort of sitting on a rug, saying and like you don't have to like go and do it. You can literally I've managed to get it to a point where I can sit in traffic or sit on a noisy bus, and because two of my breakdowns have been on noisy trains. I wanted to stab everyone with screwdrivers, and luckily I didn't. But that one of the things I worked on was having to do it in public places, and it almost become like a necessity. And like just being able to sort of shut my eyes for a minute. I won't do it now because I won't have anything to say. And just taking myself out of the room and just breathing properly for a couple of minutes.
If you do it, and I'll describe it. I'll describe what I see.
What now?
No,
I'll just be sitting with my eyes closed. It won't be great. I'm not going to like lift off.
Great,
the floor.
it's great podcast.
Yeah, podcast gold.
But I think you raise a good point, and I think like a lot of people keep themselves sane through like going for a run and exercise. And like, I think the thing is, it doesn't need to always be shitloads of medication. It don't need to always be loads of therapy. If you find something that works for you, then
100%.
you grab it. And also, like I think that's the thing. People often think. I do think running, exercise releases serotonin and makes you feel better. But there is something to be said to taking time out and doing something you like doing.
Yeah, for yourself.
Yeah, engaging with your core beliefs.
Yeah, we
That's very
touched on
important.
that the other day as well, didn't we? And something I've found as well is allowing yourself to have a bad day. So I tried to cut down on coffee. I was having like 11, 12 a day just because I was in and it was just there and it was easy to do and it wasn't alcohol or drugs and I was allowed to do it during the day. So I was just smashing loads back. And then I had a point where I went completely opposite and didn't have any food or drink for about 3 days. I was trying to fast and clean everything out of my system. And then obviously once I'd done that, I just completely relapsed and ended up drinking loads of coffee again. And I got to a point where I was like, why am I doing this to myself? I should have just, one day, I'm just going to drink loads of coffee. Like, who actually in the whole scope of the universe gives a fuck? Yeah. I'm still alive. I know it's not that great for me. Tomorrow I'll just cut down and have one in the morning or whatever. It's just allowing yourself to have a shit day. If you don't want to get up or you don't want to go to work, don't do it. It's simple as that.
The 80-20 thing. So,
that's right, yeah.
So for 80% of the time, as long as you're kind of like not doing loads of drugs and eating loads or whatever, then you, rather than deny yourself, because if you deny yourself, you'll desperately want to do it the whole time, and then when you can, you'll just go mental. Don't deny yourself. You allow yourself 20%. So yeah, drink at the weekends, but maybe not drink in the week, kind of thing. That's what I do. So I don't actually deny myself much at all.
I was doing that, but I got the 80 and the 20 round the wrong way.
So you get them the other way around.
Yeah.
Like that 20% days.
This is 80% of everything in the cupboard.
Do you find that booze has a negative effect on you?
Yeah.
I don't think it does, but everyone around me tells me that it has. Mostly like in the moment when I'm shouting at them, and then certainly the next day when I wake up and they're like, "Oh, you were an absolute cunt this morning." I'm like, "All right, buddy, we'll go for a run in a couple of minutes." I didn't mean it.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, in the moment, I don't think it does. I still feel like a bit of a superhero that morning when I wake up, especially if I haven't got a hangover. I think, fuck it, I drank loads last night. I'm still all right, and then crash the car. But it's the days afterwards. So we used to have come down Wednesdays when we used to drink and do drugs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday would still be all right because it's in your system. Tuesday wouldn't be too bad. You might be able to just do another bump and carry on. But Wednesday was major come down day, and all my arguments were always around Wednesday. And it's only when I started to notice that you kind of notice that there's a problem. I
notice it. I drank every day for 10 years, and it really fucked my head up. I also smoked loads of gear and that as well, but I was really ill in those 10 years, isn't it? Physically and mentally, I was a mess. But what I notice now is that I really, because of the meds I'm on, I shouldn't drink at all, because it kind of counters the meds. It almost kind of wipes them out. Yep. But I can't really bring myself to do that. So I'll drink on a Friday and a Saturday night, and then Sunday I normally feel miserable as shit, and Monday I feel really depressed. And it's almost like I know that's going to happen, So
Do you just accept that then
I
as
see
part of
that
your
as
life?
acceptable, because otherwise there'd be no point of a weekend. That's how it feels to me.
It's just
And
part of the
almost
process.
Like, I can't. It's almost like it's for me. It's like, right, I don't drink every day anymore, and I haven't drunk every day for getting on to 20 years, I guess. But in that, I haven't been able to I haven't gone a week without drinking. I can't let go of that last thing, and it's like, it's alright, it's acceptable, but it definitely makes me feel worse. It definitely impacts on my mental health. But I've come to a point, you know, you're saying, like, I accept that I'll have 2 bad days a week. At least 2 days of the week I'm going to feel depressed. But I don't feel so depressed that I want to die. And that's fucking progress.
It's a result.
Yeah. So I just think take action, Steve. Sounds like you need to take action.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now. But what I would say is,
Yes.
the good thing about meds though, you can go to the doctor and give you medication, it'll make you feel better, and like you might just do it, like have meds for 6 months. Like it's quite, then you kind of trial off and go back to normal. Sometimes meds are really good just for getting you through that really difficult period. If you're really struggling, that's when meds can be perfect. You know, everyone has to make their own decision, but it sometimes can just get you through that hard bit so that you can actually start to see things for what they are rather than, you know, for what your head's telling you, because your head's going to tell you the wrong shit all the time.
All the time.
Are you in control of your brain, or is your brain in control of you?
Exactly.
Well, in theory, we are in charge of our brain, but
You
I
don't
think
have to
most
listen to
people
it,
don't realise they are, because your brain is all your brain's doing is trying to protect you. That's all it's trying to do. At every minute of every part of the day, it's trying to protect you. It doesn't need to protect you. So you know, it doesn't need to. You're like we're not going to get eaten by elephants.
We might do. There are some just around at the zoo.
Oh, there is a zoo here. Yes.
Yeah, it's a very good.
So over the course, I know you've only been thinking about mental health in shop-wise in the last sort of year or so, but over the course of sort of 6-7 years, have you seen like a change in the way people are as they come into the shop? Because I feel like everybody is miserable as sin lately, like this last sort of year or two.
Brexit, innit?
Yeah, it's true.
It's Brexit and it's climate change.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing I've learned of late is trying to stop worrying about the big things. Like I'm addicted to Twitter. I'd freely admit that. I can't give it up, and it drives me insane. But I can't stop scrolling through and looking at all this fucking shit and these opinions that people have that drive me mad.
But it's so negative as well.
Yeah. Oh god.
It's
Yeah.
so negative.
Some of it's
Because If
positive.
you give yourself shit is
Yeah.
what comes out.
Yeah.
This is one of the thoughts that I have about: is this always been here, or is like with like challenging mental health for young people, or is it something that's kind of got worse and worse, or is it like a self kind of respect?
Yeah, I understand that.
Like, is it because people are talking about it, people are looking for it more?
Were people having these conversations in the 60s and 70s, but they weren't really
Or even
listened to?
when I was a young man, like
No, they
in the
weren't.
90s, like I don't remember kind of talking about
No.
mental health at all when I was like 16 years old.
I did.
You did.
When I was 9, I had to start talking about it to a therapist. But certainly, I've noticed there's the stigmas have relaxed. People are much more open about this stuff. I mean, look at we're sitting here talking about it now. People do talk about it now when they didn't before. But the issue has always been there. Of course, it is. It's just they used to put you in an asylum or whatever to kind of separate
You buried
keep
it
you
more. You
out of-
didn't realise what it was. You just thought you were just feeling low.
And there are different issues. There was always this. Like I said, everyone's always had issues. However well they hide them. Now there are different. Now we know more about the world, and the bigger issues, like I said, climate change. Those kind of things. Those are the things that keep me up at night. But you can drive yourself mad. But you just got to. I think you got to focus on your little piece of the world, and you can't worry too much about the big things. I know it's easier said than done, but that's what I try and remind myself.
No, I agree.
Be the change that you want to see in the world, is it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just spread a little kindness around your little patch,
that's
and then
what I
hope
think.
that everybody else does the same, and it get
But
a
it
bit better.
actually goes a long way.
Oh, totally.
I think it does. If you would just try and be nice to people more often and try not to judge so much, like that kind of goes a long way. I really do think it does.
I also feel that social media, you know, blah, 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 social media. But
Don't
it's
do the voice.
difficult for young people because when we were like, it's like the voice, but when we were like, when I was like 16 years old, if I was having issues at school or whatever it might have been, I'd go home to my mum and dad's house, parents' house, whatever it might be, and then door closed, done. You wouldn't. That's kind of the end of it, right? But now we're all of us.
It's always with you,
From
yeah.
11 years old
It's
now.
with you
Kids
at
are getting
home, yeah.
iPhones. You're getting bombarded on. If you're getting bullied at school or you're worrying about this or you're worrying about that, there's no escape. And I
Yeah.
think that maybe the difference now is that it's a 24/7 almost relentless battering for young
Constant
people
bullying.
who are also going
Yeah, if
through
you-
a change, like a physical change in themselves as well, and they're trying to find their place in the world.
Used to be if you were being bullied, at least you had a safe place at home where you weren't. But now it's there in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, that
You're
is
not
true.
just being bullied though. You're also being told you should do it like this. You
Yeah,
should
being
be-
judged.
You should be like that because, like, I mean, that's one of the things that really fucked me up. Is, you know, you should, and you think it doesn't need to even just be that, does it? It's just you've constantly got this thing in front of you going, well, you should have your, you know,
Yeah,
should
you-
look like this vision of beauty.
You have the constant reminder. You constantly almost encouraged to compare your life
Yeah.
to someone else's, and that person's life is a fantasy. But to a young mind, you don't kind of consciously think that. You don't think, oh, that's filtered, or you
Yeah,
know.
but are we just being old farts? Are we? No, but like seriously, are we?
Maybe they're more
You
clued
know,
up than we
like,
think.
there's like, you know, we grew up with TV. There was always magazines and things like that. There was all these kind of you'd have posters on your wall. You know, I always wanted to look like Richard Ashcroft. You know, like, I always wanted to
Really?
look like people in
Why?
bands. Because Richard Ashcroft is a fucking living god.
He's a cool dude.
But you know what? You always, but like you still like that still went on, and we didn't have that.
True,
It's just-
but that was kind of icons. Now it's like the girl next door has got like 5,000 followers on
Yeah,
Instagram. It's kind of
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Every-
true. It's
everyone
the
wants to be a
follower
star
thing,
now.
It's the like thing. We're
Yeah.
all trying to justify our existence by how many likes we got.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I swear to God, do we do it? I've done a wicked post today, and I go, oh fucking hell, I've only had like 5 likes or whatever it might be. We, as a band, I bet you guys in Pet Needs do it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that, didn't we? About
it's-
having to go, right, just stop it.
They
Yeah.
are talking about dropping the likes on Instagram. I know they were actually going to get rid of the fact that you can, obviously, you can still like a picture, but it won't be shown how many likes something's got underneath. Because they are seeing a direct correlation
Yeah.
between people
you
essentially.
can see because people are addicted to it,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
That feeling of
Yeah, it is a good
validation.
feeling. It is a good
Dopamine,
feeling.
You get dopamine.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes you feel good for a moment.
Yeah,
But like anything, it's been abused and it's been mistreated. And where money's involved as well, it's sort of.
I don't know. I still think like, you know, like it's like when your nan goes, oh, there weren't paedophiles in my day. And you're like,
Well,
there fucking
they,
was.
they were just
no one knew.
Granddad
Yeah.
was one for a
And
start.
everyone went, oh, he's just a bit funny, Granddad.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know, like they did, and I think we're kind of in the same kind of place.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it will be in years' time. It'll be like, you know, oh, it's so bad. But I also think there's loads of good things about social media,
There's
Of
a lot of good
course,
stuff
of course,
on there.
there's
There's
pros
a
and
lot of good
cons.
stuff to see.
and I just think it's about adapting to the changes. And I think kids adapt to it so much better than we could possibly ever dream. Kids are sharp, and like my
Yeah.
experience, like they're sharp as hell.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of work around it really quickly, and they get over it really quickly.
I think a lot of the problem is bad news sells. So
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
lately Caroline Flack's obviously taken her own life, and
God, I know.
there's kind of like the thing with the case going on, but they reckon like 60-70% of it is a result of all the backlash off of Twitter and everything else. And obviously, only because Love Island, we mentioned like there's been like 2 or 3 people have killed themselves just in and around that kind of camp. Could be a complete coincidence. We know that I think it's gone up to like 16 men a day are killing themselves in the UK. That you hear about that stuff because people like. There are certain types of people that like to read the bad news sells kind of thing. So there is probably a kind of correlation with that. But there are ways you can like get rid of most of the nasty stuff off social media and kind of like be ignorant kind of thing to it. But it's not always easy.
Do you feel like, because I feel like that we could spend 6 months plugging away as a business and you get like after like after like after like, and you think, hey, is everything, and you becomes like, except of course I should be getting likes for this. You get one negative comment,
Yeah.
and it
That's the one that stays with
one out of
Yeah.
like 1,000, whatever,
Yeah.
and that's the one that hits you, and that's the one you take that to heart, and you think, And so imagine that, but on a industrial scale.
Yeah, worldwide
Like,
industrial scale. Yeah.
And celebrities use Twitter, for example, as an amazing marketing tool. Yeah, it gets your brand out there. I mean, I personally believe that everyone's got a kind of personal brand, the way they want to present themselves on social media.
Totally.
Yeah, good shout.
I'm a funny guy. I'm a sexy guy. I'm a political guy. Whatever it might be, right? It's like everyone's got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say.
Everyone's got a way to promote themselves, and so with celebrityism, it's an amazing tool for like people to get their personalities out and their brand out, but it comes at a cost. When the going gets tough, you can get an absolute avalanche of abuse.
Thing is, as well, like it's a nice way.
If you're shallow, or not shallow, but if you're quite a
sensitive, maybe.
sensitive person,
Yep.
that will hurt. You know.
It is kind of like real life to a degree, but we can kind of take ourselves out of those situations because it's a nice way to interact with people and to get to know people. As we get to know people on Instagram and Facebook, like we feel like we know half of you because you're all our friends and family and no one else has come. But it's a nice way to interact, and it should be a nice.
Yep.
It should be bringing people closer together. It should be a nice thing.
Well, that's kind of what it was meant
Yeah.
to be, wasn't it? And then it obviously gets bastardized.
But I
Yeah,
bet
like
if you got
everything
like
else.
one
Yeah.
or two kind of bits of negative comments about your podcast, for
Yeah,
example,
No,
Not a
Yeah.
single
I
bit.
get a lot from Nick,
yeah,
but
you would
like,
you would start wondering what am I doing wrong, and you think it's
Yeah.
just like one person, and you go, all the brilliant reviews you get or responses, you only take one person to start
100%.
making you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
That's the problem, though, isn't it? It's like you end up. It becomes about you.
Yeah.
And like in some ways, it's like I just think that I'm not that important. Like you think in the universe, you're fuck all.
not just
Why
you.
are you looking at me? Wait,
He's had like half a beer.
You know, really?
Calm down.
I've had a can of lager. No, but seriously, I often kind of just think, why? No one's
I think
interested.
I think it's
in
very
what
healthy
I've got
to
do and what I've
remind
got to
yourself
say.
how insignificant you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And it's like, so what does it matter?
No.
What does it really matter? Like Russell Brand talks about that a lot, and I completely agree with him. You know, it's like in the universe you're a speck of nothing, and your lifespan is short and insignificant. So you might as well try and do a bit, spend your time being nice, but you might as well not worry about what other people think of you.
It's getting the balance, I think, as well. Because I have moments
that
where
can make you an arsehole.
yeah, because I have moments where I think, oh yeah, I am nothing in this world. I might as well just go out and
Can make
take
you
all my
sad
clothes
as well.
off and like drive the car drunk.
Yeah,
and
go on a
everything,
killing
and
spree.
then, yeah, and then you have a moment to think, oh, I've really fucked my life up again.
No, that's true. There's varying degrees in everything, though, isn't there?
But
You
I
can't
suppose
just
it's
go,
that
"Right, I
80-20
don't care what
thing
anyone
again."
thinks.
It's
I'm gonna do
80%
whatever
for me, I
want.
guess. I need to do 20% of just taking my clothes off.
Yeah. You keep talking about taking your clothes off.
I don't know. I
Just
think
leave the
that's-
socks on.
Yeah. Shoes, socks, and dealer boots.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
have to
look.
say, Brad's quite quick to take it. You do, like, he'll take his top off.
I
quite
love
quickly.
taking my clothes off.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think
you
because
talk
I've come
to
off medication and I've had a hard couple of weeks. It's been rough going, and I don't know. It just
Get
makes
naked.
it easier just to take my clothes off.
I
I
think
get
it's
really
like-
hot as well. I'm hot all the time. I
Does
run
it
on
make
hot.
you feel sexy? 'Cause that's what
No,
happens
it's
with
the
me.
opposite.
If
I think
take
I
my
don't. I
clothes
think
off, feel
I think
sexy.
I evoke.
Do you
like,
feel free,
sickness. You know, like when you smell something and then it makes you sick straight away. I think that's what people get from it. Certainly, yeah. I don't get that, but I think other people
Well,
do.
let's find out. See, I want to know what I feel.
No, I wouldn't be able to do that. No, you're right, thanks. No, I've eaten 50 sausage rolls today. It's no way.
See, if I take my clothes off, I just feel sexy.
Yeah, but you are sexy, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose
Now
So,
that I think
actually, I don't know how long we've got, but what I am interested in is, like, what are the things you do that you think you do well to kind of stay on top of, you know, your low periods? Like, how do you manage?
My technique is going out, walking in the countryside. That's my thing.
Good shout.
Any time I feel low, get out there. The air feels cleaner. I just feel something about being close to nature without sounding too hippie. That gets me every time.
When we had Eddie Temple Morris on, he did say that there is scientific fact like that like, you know, there's more oxygen and all those kind of things
More
you
sunlight,
get
I
from being
guess.
outside and being around nature that actually makes you feel better.
Yeah, vitamin D probably.
Yeah.
But that sorts me out every time so far.
Good bit of advice.
Yeah, I'd go for that. I like a long walk. With clothes on, obviously.
I often feel like when I'm feeling really low, it's often to do with like a lack of control. This is not in my. I can't fix it straight away. It's like, especially with the business, for example, it's like this, the lack of money. How we're going to pay for this? How we're going to pay for that? How come we can't get it better? How come we, whatever it might be. You know?
A walk in the country doesn't really fix
No.
that.
But I try to have to change my kind of mindset, and I try my best. I've got like things like running. I don't run often, but I try to run when I'm feeling low. I've got a dog, so I walk my dog every morning anyway. I'm
Perfect,
outside regularly.
Yeah, that's why I've got a dog.
Yeah, it's really good for
Good
that.
for that.
He changed my life, this dog. Like, maybe I don't eat meat anymore. I'm more empathetic towards people and animals. I get up earlier. I go to bed earlier. I've met loads of people that I never would have met in my life, like older ladies. I've got a crew of old ladies.
He's become a romancer of the elderly.
Yeah. Do you say you got a dog or dogging? Is that what you're doing?
It's one of the byproducts.
Really
I've got
It
my
sounds
girls.
similar.
Yeah, we go for dinner sometimes.
Nice. Got to treat them.
Yeah, but it's all these sort of ways of looking at the world. I suppose the key thing for me is the way that I've changed this business. Like I said before, is like changing our mindset towards why we exist as an organisation has really changed everything about how I feel about myself. Because whatever happens now, even if we go out of business, which is always likely because it's bloody hard work, unfortunately, we're not far away all the time. But I feel like at least if we do go down, we'll go down doing something positive and something that I really believed in and something that I loved.
Yeah.
And I'll feel like at least we tried.
Yeah, I think it's a bit about kind of what, like, reevaluating what your purpose is. And then almost by doing that, you realise that actually money and that, you know, it don't really make you happy. You know,
We know
like
plenty of
things-
depressed rich people, don't we?
Yeah, trinkets and, you know, things that you acquire. You know, like
Would you rather be happy? Would you rather be happy or rich?
Yeah.
Rich and miserable,
a lot of
or
people will
happy
say
and
rich,
just getting by? And I know that I'd much rather be happy. You know?
Yeah, 100%. Amazing. That was quite in depth.
Yeah.
I think you might have sat on the timer because I think that's
I was
over an
wondering
hour.
that, though.
That's all right though. Brrr.
Is it going?
No, I don't think.
No, the timer's not going.
We've been here for
I have
3
one
hours.
job. 2 jobs.
What's the other job?
I talk the most.
Oh yeah. Talk the
And
most and do the
secondly, I
timer.
had to do the timer.
I'm just happy all this other stuff works.
It's just happy with all that. Right.
Firstly, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Your shop is amazing, and
Yeah,
as I
we
say, I
love it.
probably will walk out with a different coat because I fucking lost mine. Are you gonna? It's when he's gonna
Hold
do
on.
his.
I want you to do your song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
got
Do
to find
your
my
song, and then we're going to unveil the fire pit.
So if you.
I want Neil to unveil the fire pit. Do you want to do it, Neil?
When
When you're when he's done his song.
when we finish, everyone needs to go on their phone, go onto Instagram, Facebook, I think, and look up Bestdays Vintage, because you'll quite often see the songs.
Look at this
and
technology.
There was like a rap this week as well.
Yeah,
wasn't
there
there?
was.
Yeah.
What was the rap about? Someone brought that in.
So
didn't
yeah,
they?
customer wrote us a rap
Yeah.
just to say
cool.
what a great job we're doing.
That's so cool. I love it.
There was an amazing bit where it said, even though Jez is married, he still fancies other women.
Very perceptive.
Yeah, he really did get to know you.
It's quite a public place to say that.
Good point. I might change the words.
He's joking. Neil drunk. Right, take it away, mate. Let's hear it.
Okay, this is a little song I wrote for International Men's Day. When was that? You must know that.
Every day.
Every day, yeah. I'm an international man, and this is my special day. So I'm singing you a song just to tell you it's okay. If you're feeling kinda sad, if you're running out of hope, if you're starting to worry, if you're struggling to cope, well, it's okay to not be okay. That's what being a man's about.
Yeah, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have a million doubts. Why don't you talk about it? Please talk about it. Please talk about it.
Yeah.
Love it. That's so cool. What was your band called?
There it is. We sure we want to mention that?
No, I don't know. I just started to think, oh, hold on, I think you guys might be familiar. That was all. And I wanted to know, maybe
Coldplay? Have you heard of?
Yeah.
Have you heard of us?
That's exactly where it is.
Yeah.
100%. I'd say more of Ricky from Kaiser Chiefs and the guy from Hot Chip.
Oh, sure.
You can take that away with you.
Oh, I will. Thank you very much.
Thanks again for
Yeah,
having
thanks
us
very
and
much.
letting
Absolute pleasure.
us disrupt
Thank you for
your
coming.
lovely shot. We really appreciate it, and keep up the good work. I think everyone will agree that you're doing something really fucking awesome. And if any businesses are listening, then you need to take stock and look at what these guys are doing, because they're making a big difference. I think it's great.
I agree.
Yeah, you can. As a business, you can. Yeah, you can actually do something more than just talk about money.
Yeah, I agree.
Money's boring.
Pile of shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, fellas. Thank you.
So, before everyone leaves...
Hold on, we're not done.
No, we're not.
Got to do the unveiling.
That's what I'm saying. Before everyone leaves...
All right, we've got a few more things to do. For
Yeah, we have.
All right.
Well, what's the thing you're thinking of then?
Well, everyone's got to take their parts off.
What? Everyone's got to take their clothes
Neil,
off, did
do
you
mind
say?
doing it? So there's a bit of a story behind what we're about to unveil. This is my friend Neil.
Give it up for Neil and his amazing T-shirt available online on the website
www.malliness.co.uk. They're online, you can buy them. So Neil and I have been friends since senior school. And we hadn't really... I don't think I'd seen you since senior school. Maybe...
College, tech college.
Oh yeah, the tech, yeah, of course. So like, what was that? Like, we were like 18. And then since then, I hadn't seen Neil at all. And then started doing the podcast, and then Neil was like, "Oh, I've been listening. Like, it's amazing." Well, we just started chatting, didn't we? We started chatting, and then it turns out that Neil makes these amazing fire pits, and he wanted to do a Mouth of Manliness one. I've given away what it is.
No, but the reveal of it is still going to be amazing. But you're telling the story.
What you unveiling? Yeah, we're supposed to be outside.
Oh yeah. Anyway. So yeah, Neil wanted to do one for Mouth of Manliness. So basically, he can kind of when he does trade shows and things like that, he can spread the word that men are allowed to talk about things now. So yeah, he brought it around and I drew on it and he made it happen. Neil, unveil it. Do it. Hold on.
Drum roll.
3, 2, 1.
Wow. Watch out, it's pretty hot. It's very hot.
It's really, it's real fire.
It is. We're going to get some marshmallows and toast them up if anyone's interested. But it's amazing, isn't it? I love it. How long did it take you to make, Neil?
About a week. I mean, it took longer because, just the time. I've got 2 young kids now, so
Yeah, of course.
I'm kind of a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
So it took a few weeks. Usually it'll take about a week, but no, I really wanted Nick to put one of his amazing designs on it, and I wanted you to use it. I want you to use it as well. So
Yeah, I certainly will.
If you're outside doing stuff, I want you to get people to sit around it. I don't know if you can film outside.
Yeah, we can do that. I think maybe we could
we've
do
been talking with
spoke about
Rusty about doing an outdoor thing
Like a
in
little
the
sleep
summer
out
anyway.
thing.
So
That'd be nice, take it away. Or, whenever you want to use it, light it up outside properly, sit around, have a beer, have a chat.
I'm well up for that.
yeah,
Definitely
and I think
beers and
that's like
chats.
the idea that we sit around and like rather than have the TV on, we'll sit around the fire pit and talk. It's also really sharp, and I really
Cut yourself
cut my
early,
arm
didn't
on
you?
it, and I might have screwed up one of my.
I sort of like that's quite rock and roll though. I quite like that fact.
Yeah, I
that
know
cuts
it is
you.
rock and roll because
It's going to
sharp.
burn you and it's going to cut you.
It's going to fucking cut you. Thank you, Neil. Thank
Neil,
you so much for doing it. It's brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Well, people actually turned up, Nick.
Yeah, people did turn up. Thank you all. It's really kind of made us feel good.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you
And we
all.
cannot thank you enough. Thanks for your support, obviously, on Patreon, mostly Ellie, because she's spending loads of money on us. And buying T-shirts and things is amazing. We don't get a lot of money. We don't get any money for doing it, actually. And it all helps. And, yeah, thank you.
Johnny's going to play us out. See, it was like a variety show.
It is, yeah, it is. It's a bit like TGI Fridays. No, TFI Fridays.
TFI Fridays.
TGI Fridays is a cocktail place. It's completely different. Completely different.
Take it away, mate.
Cool, cheers, man. I just wanted to say one thing as well. If you want to support the podcast, please go onto their Patreon and support them. But also, it's all about kind of like making one little change, isn't it? Make one small change that you want to do in the world. If you usually shop on Amazon or at Topshop or something like that, just make one small change. They do loads of stuff online. If you go, because like loads of people listen to this, if you go on Bestdays Vintage, is it bestdaysvintage.com or .co.uk or something like that? .co.uk, go on bestdaysvintage.co.uk. You can get something really unique, but you can also kind of hold that feeling with you that you're supporting something really cool as well.
Totally agree with that, mate.
So
That's awesome.
100% do that. That's the one small change that I think if you're sitting on the bus or you're sitting at work or something, you're listening to this now, make that one small change that you're going to shop at Best Days Vintage instead.
To perfectly pretend, my friend, I've been doing it for ages. I'm fine, what you ask, I'm smiling, ain't I? What a weird question lying on my back in Hackney Wick. I had this epiphany, man, am I who I am, or am I as I wish to be perceived? Yeah, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, whoa, 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 whoa. I ain't been to the woods for ages. I straighten my hair and spray it, moisturise my face into a smile. Snap tight the elastic on the back of the mask. Fuck making memories for the sake of faking pleasantries at dinner parties. This ain't where we reminisce, man. This is where it's starting. Like an oil painting, your eyes follow me around the room. You are the artist, I'm the canvas man, and we're the last one standing. So let's perfectly pretend my friend repressed, deflect attention. I'm fine, why'd you ask? I'm smiling, ain't I? Yeah, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, whoa, 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 whoa. The deepest impact lies beneath the feet of those who carve the path. We're always honest, self-destructive, never smiling photographs. Don't you dare believe you're ever wrong. And don't take bad advice from the words in a podcast. Oh, don't take bad advice from a punk song. Don't take bad advice from a punk song.
Yeah, mate, nice work.